following video clips were created by the Tertiary Education Commission from selected 2010 Pūtea Arapiki Ako projects for teachers and kaiako who work with tertiary students in Tauira and want to learn more about the perspectives, views and understanding they bring with them. These resources complement the learning progressions for adult literacy and numeracy by suggesting links to Mātauranga Māori and Pasifika worldviews. The approach taken to teaching and learning adult literacy and numeracy uses a three-point model: knowing the demand, knowing the learner, and knowing what to do. Mapping Pasifika. This three-part initiative focused on meeting the needs of Whitireia's Pasifika learners and was designed to build on the Knowing Your Learner, Engaging Pasifika Learners DVD resource. It included professional development workshops and new teaching resources for staff, as well as new literacy and numeracy materials for Pasifika learners. The new resources are shared via Whitireia's online learning resource, Moodle. The project has helped staff gain greater insight about the worldview of Pasifika students and explore how this could be used to improve student engagement and achievement. The Mapping Pasifika project also gave Pasifika students a chance to contribute their own ideas and feedback. Kia ora koroa, can you give us a brief description about your project?
Leisha and I have worked together for a long time, and I have coordinated modules and a whole course for staff development. Now, part of that was aimed at enabling staff to find strategies to work with Pasifika students. And so when these projects came up, the idea was that we try and take something that we'd done face-to-face in the classroom and put it in a form that could be delivered to others.
And the whole idea is a professional development space so that staff can access a space or an online platform where it's a user-friendly space, so it doesn't have to, it's not threatening, it's easy to use, and staff who may be feeling that they're not sure about how to work with Pasifika students can go on there and take part in the professional development.
Now, what did the project set out to achieve?
The overall big one is enhancing success for Pasifika students by staff better understanding who they are, how to relate to them, ways of thinking and ideas of success.
So we're using the metaphor of the Pacific, the whole big ocean, to recognise the diversity that exists with Pasifika students, and I think that's critical to establishing a relationship with your Pasifika students, and if you can do that, then the learning happens a lot more naturally.
So what's the big benefit of using Moodle?
One of the things that had worked really well was, as a first exercise on the Moodle site, is getting people to look at where are the 7 main groups of New Zealand, so the 7 groups most represented amongst Pasifika in New Zealand. Where are those islands, first of all? And so exercise number 1 is just locating that. And it's interesting because in the ocean it's actually how many people really don't know.
That exercise helps us to just locate where the students are coming from, where their ancestry is from, so that staff can actually have a foundation to start with, so they feel a lot more comfortable in terms of making that relationship with their student.
So why is it important to know your Pasifika learner?
If staff develop that sense of asking and knowing whether they are island born or New Zealand born, because to the students they know that makes a big difference in terms of their knowledge, in terms of their sense of self. So it's very much about that, and the students say that, yeah? And that they know that Tokelau is different to Samoa, and there are different size populations in New Zealand, and that some groups have been here for a long time, and we have statistics in there, and people get really amazed and excited when they see that actually Niuean people have been here on average for 40, 50 years. It's not something that happened last week. And a staff, if it sets them off with a curiosity where they go and want to find out more and get excited about knowing more about these places and their students and talk with them about it. Because the students know.
And I think that the stars of the project are probably the students themselves. And we have 4 graduate students who echo what we're saying in the professional development side, and their stories are so powerful because they talk about the differences between a Samoan and Tokelauan and how we make those assumptions, but it's really critical for us not to do that, because you can offend a student without even realising you are, because you're assuming that someone's a Samoan. So my family came from Niue back in the 50s, and it's a different journey, a different story than someone who has just come from Samoa in the 1990s.
And some of the things they just said in those few minutes was stuff I thought, got it now. And one of them was a piece of body language which is quite often shown by Pākehā when they're listening. Yeah? And they said, if the teacher does this, then we think they don't like us. And it's like the teacher will think they're listening. And it was just such a moment of revelation, really. I don't believe any teacher tries not to form a relationship. But sometimes if we don't go deep enough and operate on assumptions, then we're just mucking stuff up. Yeah? That if we just learned a little more, students could succeed a whole lot better.
So Ako Pasifika is really recognising the knowledges that come from the Pacific and the theories that are out there and the theories that have been written by educators, Pacific educators, and their experiences tell us how and why we should form that relationship. It also talks a lot about the fact that often Pasifika students are entering into a foreign world. It's very different from maybe what they're experiencing in their social life, their family life, and their church life. So it looks at, I suppose, it introduces the whole idea of holistic approach to learning.
So what advice would you give to others out there who are looking to follow this example?
They really want to succeed, those students, and sometimes people see them as problematic. And actually, the problem is in the relationship with the organisation rather than in the student. So these students come in really wanting to succeed, often having been alienated at school or alienated in places that didn't value them for who they were.
One of the things that we really look at in the project is the whole idea of the collective approach to learning, that a Pasifika student may be in tertiary education not for herself or himself, but for the family, for the community, for the greater good of their extended family, and therefore within the classroom they may be used to or want to work in groups, and that's not copying or stealing, it's actually taking the knowledges of everybody and utilising them.
So how was the project linked to the learning progressions?
It's about creating the environment where students believe the student is seeking a relationship with them, and that's part 2 really of the activities. It's set out in Moodle in 4 activities. So number 2 is about establishing a relationship. Now, lots of the research says, and whether it's with Māori or whether it's with other groups, the key thing for a teacher is to develop that relationship. We need to take the time and we need to listen to our students and we need to try and understand body language and language. Yeah.
Now, how does this project challenge our assumptions about working with Pasifika peoples?
The reason why our families came to New Zealand was for a better education, for a better life for us. So my father's family came here for employment, for a better world, and education was what they expected. And so therefore that's behind our families, and so therefore it's not that we're not wanting to be in education, it could be the fact that the education is not catering for our needs.